Hello, Sharpen Blade here. Today we're taking a look at the Kershaw Terran, or Terran, however you'd like to pronounce that. I got this knife from Integrity Knives. They actually provided me with this for review, so I will do my best to not let the fact that I did not invest any money in this knife sway me in my review at all. But if you are wanting to buy this knife by the end of the review, I will leave a link to Integrity Knives website in the description. While you're there, use discount code SharpenBlade for 10% off your order. Okay, so we'll get some specs and size comparisons out of the way. It has a blade length of 3.125 inches, a handle length of right on 4 inches, giving it an overall length of 7.125 inches. It has a blade thickness of 0.11 inches and a handle thickness of 0.39 inches. So it's a little bit thinner than most knives in the handle dimension. It weighs 3.5 ounces. And these are the comparisons to the Rat 2 and the Rat 1. Line up the pivots. Quite a bit smaller than the Rat 1, but it's right in line with the Rat 2. As far as materials go, it has a HCR13 MOV blade steel. They call it a drop point. It's kind of a, it doesn't really look like a drop point to me, but it's kind of a mix of blade shapes, so yeah, call it a drop point if you want. It's bead blasted with this gray coating finish on it. Matches the same color as the handle scales. These are stainless steel. Back spacer is GFN. It's milled nicely. Matches the scales quite well. It's a stainless steel pocket clip, and it's also in that grayish color, and recessed pocket clip screws, which is nice to see. It's not super deep carry. There's about that much sticking out of your pocket when you carry it, but that's not too bad. It's a frame lock, and it's assisted opening. So these run $59.99 in Canada. You can use my discount to receive 10% off that, so it's $53.99. And I've seen them online in the States for $23.99. So my US viewers, that's what you're looking at, around $24 in the States. Some things I like about the knife are the overall design. It's very cool. They did a great job milling this. There's no sharp edges here. Everything's rounded very nicely. There's a square edge right in here where they milled out the lock bar. So it's not sharp, but it is square. So, but like it's not gonna irritate you when you use it. But everything else is rounded nicely. It's nice jimping up here. It's not aggressive, but it locks your thumb in place. A little bit of jimping here on the flipper tab, which also locks your finger in place. So you do have a decent grip on it, even though it is thinner. It doesn't fill your hand out too much, but you do have a decent grip on it. It feels nice in the hand because of the curved corners and edges. So it does feel nice when you hold it, and it has a bit of weight to it. Like I said, it's 3.5 ounces, so it's a bit heavier than most knives this size, simply because they did not mill any. There's no weight relief in the scales. They probably just didn't have room in the budget for that after milling all these, because they did do a really good job milling this pattern in. So even though it's a bit heavier than a lot of knives you see in this size, it's not overly heavy. It's just kind of a nice weight in your hand, so it does feel kind of solid in your hand. So I do like that. And Even though I don't really like assisted opening knives, it does have a nice sound to it. And now on to things I don't like about the knife. It came really off center. I fixed it. I adjusted the pivot, and now it's fairly centered. It was really over to the show side, almost rubbing. It wasn't rubbing, but it was about as close to this scale as you could possibly get without rubbing. But it's fixed now, so it's nice. Wouldn't really call it a complaint. Sometimes budget knives, you just have to adjust them. So that's not too bad. But it gets worse. The fit and finish is nice, but you can see now. I'll explain this here. So this side of the scale, like this scale, is thicker than this one, simply because it's housing the spring for the assisted opening mechanism. So they just make this a little bit thicker. So I'm guessing to cut down on as much weight as they could, they made this side a little bit thinner because it didn't need to be as thick. So it cuts down on weight, cuts down on cost. It just kind of makes the knife look a little bit off balance, but you know, you don't really feel that when you're holding it. But it does, this side, the lock side, is taller than the show side. The show side is really flush with the back spacer, but you can feel that this side is a bit taller. Again, you don't feel that when you're holding it. The ergos aren't super impressive, but you know, they're not bad. You can feel the pocket clip, but you can't feel the fact that this edge is raised a bit. So yeah, it's not too bad, but it just kind of looks wise when you're looking it over. You can be kind of nitpicky and find a few things wrong with it, but for a budget knife, that's not too bad. What I didn't like was when I was using the knife to cut some cardboard. Oh, this brings up another point. This finish on the blade, I was cutting up cardboard and it kind of marked up, but it just wiped off. So you might be able to see. The camera's not really picking up. It didn't really mark it up that much at all, really. It looked like it did, but it just wiped off with the cloth. So this is a nice finish. It is tough. I imagine it'll wear off eventually, but from me using it, I didn't really notice much come off it at all. So that's a good thing. Now, back to the negatives. When I was using this to cut cardboard, I'm left-handed, so I was cutting with my left hand, and I was cutting through some cardboard boxes, and I said, well, I should check it out to see how it feels in my right hand. So I was holding it in my right hand, and I was, you know, again, cutting cardboard boxes, and I wasn't pressing hard because this knife is slicey. It's a flat grind, but it's thin, so it is slicey. So you don't have to press real hard to cut through cardboard. But what I found was the lock bar had pushed over. Now it usually sits around 50%, maybe a little bit less than that, but it was over closer to 75% to 80% lockup on it, and I had to push it out, and it was kind of stuck there, but then it had eventually disengaged, and now you can't really hear it too much on camera, but there was no lock stick at all when I first got this knife. It was really nice to disengage the lock. Now there's just a slightest little bit of lock stick, mostly just what you can hear. Yeah, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but you can just hear a little bit, and you can just feel just a little bit of resistance now. But yeah, it is kind of easy. If you're bearing down on it a little bit too hard, you can push the lock bar over, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because I mean, the fact that it's locked up more, I guess you could look at it as if it's not going to disengage on you very easily, but it shouldn't be moving like that in the first place. So it's not really going to affect how the knife works, but eventually if it's already able to move over that far, eventually it's going to be all the way over, and that's not great. But I think that's just from soft steels, and it just kind of pushes over. I don't know, take that as you will. Overall, the knife is nice. There's just some things I don't really like about it. A, the assisted opening mechanism. B, how this is right here. They could have literally moved that down to where, like, moved everything down a little bit, or just make it really small and just put it here beside China. Put it right there, then it's hidden. But no, they left it there so you can see that. So I don't know. I don't like that. And plus, the whole thing with the lock bar moving way in whenever you use it. I don't know. I just don't. I don't really like that too much. I've never actually experienced that on one of my knives before, so I don't know. Like I say, I'm not going to recommend the knife, and I'm not going to not recommend it simply because I didn't invest any money in this, and I don't think it's fair to say one way or the other. But personally, I probably would not buy one. That's just me. But you decide. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. And maybe the whole lock bar thing isn't that big of a deal. Let me know what you think. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and also check out Integrity Knives. They have they're kind of a little bit low on stock right now, but I'm sure they're having more stock come in. Canada Post has been very slow with stuff with their deliveries lately, so I'm sure there's just some things held up. But check them out anyways. See what's coming up. Follow them on Instagram. Thanks for watching the video. Take care.